Judicial corruption is another significant issue undermining the justice system in Uganda, Right Honourable Speaker. Reports of judicial officers and court officials taking bribes to influence case outcomes are alarmingly uncommon. This corruption not only skews the administration of justice, but also erodes public confidence in the judiciary. For instance, individuals with financial means can often secure favorable verdicts through bribery. Even government officials have talked about this matter that I'm addressing, while those without such resources are left at a disadvantage. This pervasive corruption undermines the rule of law and perpetuates a sense of injustice among the populace. Right Honourable Speaker, resource constraints, slow case processing and corruption prolong suspect pre-trial detention. This is why many accused persons unlawfully spend months or years in detention before trial. This violates due process and fair trial, since it impacts people, families, and communities. Honourable Speaker, our colleagues who just returned from jail, who were brutally arrested as they were going for a press conference, the Honourable Francis Zake, Honourable Tebandeke Charles, and Honourable Hassan Chirumira, told us of many inmates they found in police detention facilities here at CPS. People have been there for weeks. It is wrong. And we must be able to address these issues. The other example, we have so many National Unity Platform and other opposition supporters languishing in various detention centers on trumped-up charges. Secondly, including NRM. Secondly, there have been cases where suspects of minor offenses have been jailed for longer than the maximum sentence they would have received if convicted. This is indicative of a justice system that is not only slow, but also indifferent to the plight of the less privileged.
For the last 22 years, I've been a lawyer. And my land friend, the Honourable Chiriwa Chiwanuka, having been a lawyer even much longer, knows that a lawyer only acts on instruction. The instructions of the Attorney General are standing instructions under the Constitution, 119, and they only relate to matters of law. Now we are dealing with matters involving the deployment of forces out of the country that managed to go and one, Kisumu, managed to go and get back these Ugandans. I don't want to speculate on how they got them, whether they kidnapped them, whether they used the window of somebody's son who said he can march to Westlands in 2 weeks or not. And clearly that's not a matter for the Attorney General. The Attorney General can advise us on matters before court where they were placed under his hands. Issues to do with how they were arrested, abducted, and or kidnapped are issues to do with the minister responsible for security and therefore the docket of ESO, or if it was police, the Minister of Internal Affairs and how he managed to cross the borders unnoticed to get these young Ugandans. I am constrained to seek your procedural guidance and direction. Because you asked government, and we have a Prime Minister here, the Attorney General volunteered, which is very uncommon professionally.
I am talking about bilateral matters that you can walk into Kenya and kidnap Ugandans. Like it used to happen under Amin. They were kidnapping people from Kakamega, bringing them back for torture. Under what arrangement? That's not a matter of court. Under which arrangement did you go to a Catholic church in Kenya and kidnap people and bring them without necessary legal documents?
Honourable Speaker, for want of time, I'll skip the matter regarding our land sector, the land of Ugandans being grabbed, and it is grabbed by the mighty and powerful, and our people continue to suffer with, for many of them, the only asset which they do have. We must deal with these issues. Let me move to transport sector. Honourable Speaker and honourable colleagues, our transport sector presents a bleak image characterized by a system that falls short of meeting the fundamental needs of our citizens. This stifles economic progress. Central to the challenges faced by this neglected sector is the lamentable state of infrastructure, particularly roads, which serve as a vital conduit for both urban and rural connectivity. Failure to maintain roads effectively has resulted in many becoming nearly inaccessible during the rainy season, impeding movement and economic activity. The dire condition of our road network has far-reaching implications for both urban and rural communities. About 29% of Kampala's road network is in relatively good condition based on the International Roughness Index, road unevenness, with 71% in fair to poor condition. 71%. And yet the bulk of our revenue is collected here in Kampala. The deteriorating roads in Kampala metropolitan area exacerbate traffic congestion, prolong commute times, and raise vehicle operating expenses. Generally, most of the roads in Kampala are in unmaintainable condition and require a complete overhaul. This not only consumes time and resources, but also has a negative impact on productivity. For example, in Kampala, traffic jam is a daily ordeal for commuters, resulting in loss of hours and decreased efficiency in business. But it's not just Kampala, Right Honorable Speaker and colleagues. In rural areas, the poor state of roads poses even greater challenges. Many rural communities rely on roads for access to essential services such as health, education, markets. However, during the rainy season, impassable roads cut off these communities from vital resources, exacerbating inaccessibility and hindering socio-economic development. For example, farmers struggle to transport their produce to markets, leading to losses and reduced income. Similarly, access to healthcare facilities becomes limited, putting lives at risk, especially in emergencies. Addressing these challenges, Right Honorable Speaker, requires coordinated efforts to streamline fund allocation, enhance procurement processes, and improve infrastructure maintenance capacity at all levels of government. Honorable Speaker, let me briefly talk about the healthcare system, which is deplorable. The dire state of the healthcare system is glaringly evident in rural areas where hospitals and clinics are often devoid of the most basic necessities. Imagine a mother in a remote village, desperate to find medicine for her sick child, only to discover that the nearest clinic is without essential drugs or even a qualified healthcare worker to offer assistance. This heartbreaking scenario plays out far too often across the country, leaving families devastated and communities vulnerable to the ravages of preventable diseases. Corruption within the healthcare sector has compounded service delivery challenges, creating a vicious cycle of deprivation and despair. Consider the case of a hospital where funds meant to purchase vital medical supplies mysteriously disappear into the pockets of corrupt officials. As a result, patients are left to suffer needlessly, their lives hanging in a balance as they wait in vain for treatment that may never come. Many of the calls all of us get from our constituents is to give them some money to go to a private healthcare facility, because the government one is not providing that. Meanwhile, those responsible for this embezzlement continue to enjoy lives of luxury, callously indifferent to the suffering they have caused. This is a flagrant violation of the right to health enshrined in both international law and our country's constitution. Honorable Speaker, let me move ahead. Again, for want of time. Addressing the shortage of qualified healthcare workers, which is another of the challenges that we have, is imperative. Policies should focus on training, recruiting, and retaining healthcare professionals. Accordingly, the government should increase funding for medical education, offering scholarships and incentives for students to study medicine and nursing, and providing competitive salaries and benefits to attract and retain skilled healthcare workers in rural areas and in our country, because many of them run away to other countries where they are paid better. Government should also prioritize deployment of medical interns. Right, Honorable Speaker, you did speak about that. Interns were protesting the other day. They are saying, we have studied for 5 years. Deploy us so that we can work.